All right, thank you guys all coming today, and especially thank you for the panels that providing the valuable time. So today we're gonna have APhA pathway series, clinical pharmacy. We have invited like 6 people from 2 each from each class. They have done a lot regarding clinical pharmacy track, and I would like to introduce them one by one. We'll start with Julie Jung.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie Jung. I'm a P2 at University of Maryland. I've been interested in clinical pharmacy for a while now, so I'm happy to share my experiences with you all. Starting with leadership, I've been pretty heavily involved with APhA-ASP at our chapter. I'm the current president-elect and our region's member at large. This year, I'm also serving as SNAFA's Operation Immunization Chair. My P1 year, I was trying to get a feel for the organizations that were out there. So I was involved in APhA-ASP, SNAFA, as well as ASHP, SSHP. Going into some of my other experiences at University of Maryland, I'm currently a candidate for the pharmacotherapy pathway. And this pathway is designed to help prepare PharmD students for acceptance into residency or fellowship, and helps prepare the students with a strong foundation of skills and knowledge that they will need to succeed. As part of the pharmacotherapy pathway, I'm currently conducting a capstone project with Drs. Pincus and Dev, and this looks at the characterization of missed opportunities for statin use in patients living with HIV. In undergrad, I was involved with research as well with Dr. Michelle's lab. And this past year, I had the opportunity to showcase my research at organizational conferences, including ASHP Midyear and APhA Annual. This is really helpful because I'm able to use the feedback that I got from these sessions and work to further refine my presentation and communication skills. I currently work as a pharmacy technician at the Johns Hopkins Hospital in the Critical Care and Surgery Department. And in addition to my regular roles and responsibilities as a technician, I've also had the opportunity to work on clinical Pearl presentations, depending on the topic of interest. And something new that I tried this year was the FDA Regulatory Science Competition. I developed and presented a solution with my team, and this was a great opportunity to kind of work on a creative outlet for the past semester. My upcoming goals include the UMB Clinical Track Program, which is a program that's offered to our P3 student pharmacists. And after graduation, I hope to obtain a residency in pharmacy. So my first tip is to learn to sit with discomfort. Allow yourself to be comfortable even though our first instinct is to rush to fix it, distracting ourselves with upcoming tasks and whatnot. But these situations such as rejection and confrontation will always show up in our lives, but we can determine how we approach these situations. And we can use them as opportunities to showcase our growth and our resiliency in job, internship, or residency interviews. And my second tip would be to embrace recognition. I think so often we can make ourselves feel small when we're given what we deserve, and we tend to undermine when we're being recognized. And if that sounds familiar, it's because that's imposter syndrome, and I know a lot of us struggle with it. But keeping track of our achievements and celebrating ourselves for when we reach these milestones can help us fight against imposter syndrome.
All right, thank you, Julie. I think that was very great tips. We happen to have many imposter syndrome, but you have done so much, and we really appreciate as a APhA leadership role too. And the next person will be Sona.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Sona Orashi, and I'm also a second-year student pharmacist at the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy. I am also a non-traditional student. I am originally from Tabriz, Iran, and I moved to US 5 years ago. I went to medical school back in Iran and graduated and practiced for a short time. And then I moved to US and decided to pursue pharmacy for many reasons. During my first year in the pharmacy school, I was just trying to get used to the whole new environment because I was coming from a different background and I wasn't really used to the whole educational system in the US. So that was like a big challenge, but yeah, and I was also trying to get to know all my classmates, and I was able to make some great friends who path and vision was just kind of similar to me. So that was really helpful for me during the pharmacy school. And then I heard about all the awesome organizations that we have in UMSOF, and then I decided to get involved with ACCP and AMCP during my first year. I also set like 2 goals for myself for my P2 year, and that was to be able to find a pharmacy related job and also getting involved with research for my P2 year. So by the end of P1 year, I applied for the inpatient pharmacy positions at Johns Hopkins, and I started to work at Central Pharmacy starting from summer. At the same time, I was looking for research projects, and during the same time I was applying for jobs. So I was able to get involved with 2 projects with Dr. Hebner. I've just listed the titles on the slide in case you guys are interested. My second year, I continued my involvement with ACCP, and currently I am the president-elect of ACCP. I also wanted to explore the industry field more, so I got involved with IPHO as a Director of National Engagement. Both of these roles has really been helpful for me because I was able to execute and plan different events for both organizations. Also, I got to know my upperclassmen and P1, and I was able to build meaningful connections and network system. Same as Julie, I got interested into the pharmacotherapy pathway. Last semester I applied, and then right now I'm a candidate for the pharmacotherapy pathway. I think it's great because for anyone who's interested in either residency or fellowship, it's just basically a set of courses and a research project. So it will definitely help you to gain and expand upon your clinical knowledge, and you have the option to run a research project by yourself from the start to the end. So it's definitely a great thing for building your writing skills, your presentation skills. About I also participated in the FDA Regulatory Science Challenge, and my team and I were able to hold the first place in that competition. And we had a solution. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, that's also a great experience, and I'm encouraging everyone just to participate in the competitions if you can. My goals for now, I'm not like 100% set on my goals, but I'm hoping to get a job after graduation or pursue a clinical residency. About my tips, so I have 2 tips for you guys, and the first one is to keep your options open because pharmacy is a growing field. So keep your options open, be open to exploring and learning more. And the second one is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. So this one has definitely not an easy one for me. Just coming from a different country, I was always afraid, but I've gotten better. It will definitely bring you more opportunities, more connections and confidence. So yeah, that's all about me.
Yeah, I really respect Sona regarding like how like breaking the status quo and go out to her comfort zone and joining like different organizations to see different options, because pharmacy has so much opportunities regarding, you know, we don't know like if what kind of clinical pharmacists are out there. I think she's always continually exploring the opportunities, which has been very inspiring. And the next person will be Stella Kim.
Hi everyone. My name is Stella, and I'm a current P3 over here at the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy. So thanks for having me today. So I'm a current SSHP president of our chapter, and also serve as an operation immunization chair of APhA following the Sachi's pathway. And aside from that, I've been closely getting involved with these 2 organizations and ACCP starting from my first year. Especially with the SSHP president, I get to represent our chapter at the mid-year last December, and it was really great opportunity to connect with other people from other schools. Some of the experience that I've done just to prepare myself to be a standout candidate for either residency or clinical pharmacy or even any pathway was trying to get involved with the research like Sona and Julie mentioned before. So 2 years ago, actually, yeah, 2 years ago, no, actually a year ago, because I'm P3, I had a great opportunity to apply for Atrium student research position where I get to work with one of the cardiology pharmacists at the University of Maryland Medical Center. And I was able to get some projects working on with the heart failure patient and transplant. And that's how I got narrowed down my options as a goals. And along with that, I'm trying to do the clinical track at the University of Maryland Medical Center for my APhA rotation upcoming year. And I'm also serving as a teaching assistant starting from my P3 year. With that research that I mentioned before, luckily I was able to submit the abstract, and our abstract got selected by the American Transplant Congress, which is one of the biggest meeting in the United States regarding the transplantation. And our team will present the project as a oral presentation. I'll be the main primary author for that. And some of the competition that I did throughout the pharmacy school year was the FDA regulatory science competition with Julie and other teammates, and we're able to like participate to develop some regulatory pathway for that. And with the AMCP PNT competition, our team was in the first place for the local round, which was giving me a great insights on the formulary and the beyond the scope of things happening behind the clinical pharmacy. So it was a really great opportunity. And as a pharmacy intern at the Johns Hopkins Hospital, I get to do a lot of clinical pro presentations, medication reconciliations, as well as the patient counseling, so that like I get to talk to the actual patients in the hospital, counseling on the high-risk medications for themselves and for the discharge plan. My goal is hopefully getting the residency for my P4 year, doing the PGY1, and with the interest in cardiology or transplant, either of them, for my PGY2, and as well as the academia, because I love talking and I love interacting with a fellow student pharmacist. Some of the tips that I want to share with you guys is it's never too late, and keeping an open-minded, like Sona and Julie mentioned, to decide what you want to do, because pharmacy is a big world. Like you can explore a lot of career options within that like one area, and so don't ever feel pressure to put yourself in certain things that like just because everyone is pursuing that pathway, because I'm currently interested in clinical pharmacy, but there are just numerous ways you could explore around. So don't like try not to like limit yourself and try to not put in this certain pathway, because like there should be like a certain way where you can spread your wings. So please keep an open-minded, and step out of comfort zone. I think like Sona and Julie already like mentioned these things, but it's super important for that, especially like Sona. I had a background. I didn't start my background starting like in the United States because I was born in South Korea and come here for the college. So definitely English was my second language, and I didn't feel like comfortable talking to people. Plus I was introverted before. But like just taking a lot of like leadership opportunities and involving with these volunteers was just really opened my eyes and grow myself and develop my skills a lot. So even if you feel like, oh, I'm afraid of talking to people in front of them, just take a shot and you might love it. So try to not like limit yourself for this one as well. And lastly, be you, because every individual has different personality and different ways to express yourself. And as long as you're being you and make yourself stand out, I'm sure everyone will be successful in their passionate area. So yeah.
Thank you, Stella. Stella is very energetic, so like it gives more energy to people around, and I think that's what's so unique about her. But I think what's important here, like we start seeing the patterns of like what people have done, such as like PNT competition or FDA regulatory science. So I think these are also good tips that you can explore during the school years. And the next person will be Hannah.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Hannah Fleibo, and I'm a third-year pharmacy student, just like Stella. So some background about me, I studied neuroscience in undergrad. So coming to pharmacy school, I was like, I'm going to do neuro or psych, clinical pharmacy. But then first year, I got exposed to many different paths like industry, managed care, and I wanted to explore those. So my first summer, I did an internship at the FDA at the Office of Regulatory Affairs. Had a great experience, and then I tried managed care my second year, and I served as fundraising chair of AMCP. I went to AMCP annual, all great experiences, but then I wanted to see what I wanted to do first, because I feel like with all these paths, we all get overwhelmed with what do we want to do for the rest of our lives. But I was like, let me just start with what I want to do first. And I've always had a love for psych, and I started working at Hopkins at the adult patient pharmacy, and that love grew. So I wanted to pursue clinical pharmacy, and then some experiences that I have that go along with that would be I currently serve as CPMP president. Also at Hopkins at the adult patient pharmacy, like Stella said, we get a lot of clinical experience. I've given a couple of clinical Pearl presentations. I have worked on a couple of research projects with the pharmacists there, and I actually got to present one of them at mid-year this year, which last year, I guess, which was a great experience. I also did some wet lab research at Dr. Pearson's nanoparticle research wet lab here at the University of Maryland, which was great. I got some credit out of it, and also had something that I could build on, because I didn't know anything about nanoparticle design. I didn't know what nanoparticles were before I started at his lab, so that was great. And then my goals after pharmacy school is to pursue a residency and work as a clinical psych pharmacist after, but I am open to anything that my future holds. So some of the tips I have would be to network and find people with similar interests as you. I have found CPMP to be very beneficial to me because I got to work with Dr. Love, who is nationally known in psych pharmacy, has done so much research, and is always open to any questions. So always try to find people that you can connect with and help you grow. Always be open to new experiences. I am always trying to see, like, find new information, to get to talk to everyone. So always be open and utilize your upperclassmen. I know, like, a lot of us through either like pledging or through other interaction with upperclassmen, we're able to pick their brains, like ask where's a good place to work, where will I get the best experience, what classes should I take, like things that will help you get to where you want to be faster, more efficiently, and just keep your mental health healthy as you're going through pharmacy school. So that's the tips that I have.
Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, as she just mentioned, like, please utilize us and, you know, use this experience as being connected with the panels and anyone from the upper class. Like, pharmacy is such a small world, as you hear it all the time, you know, like, and that really opens up the opportunities. And I thought that was really interesting that how she is a CPMP president, like all these panels are coming from different kind of organization. So it doesn't limit that what kind of organization we're in, but we can still pursue the same goal as in a different organization. And next person will be Sachi.
Hi everyone, my name is Sachi Patel and I'm currently a P4. So a little bit of background about myself. I did a Bachelor of Science in Health Management and Policy before I came to University of Maryland. And currently I'm done with rotation, so I'm chilling. So my past experience has been, this past year I did a rotation at Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, where I got to, look at the intricacies of the formulary and the benefits for Part D in the Medicare plan. I also did a leadership rotation at Kaiser, which I got to work with Dr. Fink, who is the RPD for the Kaiser Residency program. And so some other relevant experience that I've done that helped me get a managed care residency was I did APhA Center research this past year with Dr. Fleibo. And then I also participated in the P&T competition where we placed 3rd place. And then I also took place in the FDA competition and the NCPA business plan competition. And I was an intern at Safeway Pharmacy for the past 3 years. And then as many of the individuals you guys have heard of from today, I was a part of APhA and I was the chair for Operation Immunization. And I was the AMCP director of the Shadowing Initiative series and in the Network Development series. So currently next year, or not next year, in July, I'll be a resident at Humana. And then some advice I have for you guys is to be confident in yourself. So, going through interviews and, comparing yourself to other people, you sometimes see that, like you're not confident in yourself and you see that they have more experience than you in other areas. You just kind of have to be confident in yourself and know that the past 4 years, the past 3 years, you've prepared yourself to be the best person that you can be. And during interviews and in the application process, you just want to be confident in yourself and kind of express that to the interviewees. Another piece of advice I'll give is network and build connections. I know a lot of the panelists have already mentioned that. So I think one of the biggest reasons I was able to secure a residency at Humana was using my network and using my alumni base. I reached out to those who had already done managed care residencies at University of Maryland and reached out to them to ask them to help me with my CV and to help me with my letter of intent. So, they reviewed it, they gave me advice, and I think building connections and knowing people in your field is very important when it comes to securing a really a unique position in which you want. And then my 3rd piece of advice is do things that you genuinely enjoy. So I know a lot of people do things just to put it on their CV saying, like check it off my list, like, oh, I did research, I'm going to put it on. But if you don't truly enjoy doing research, I wouldn't recommend doing it. And you can always do things that are outside of the pharmacy realm as well. When I was a P2, I was the SAT coordinator for APhA-ASP, which is the tutoring service that happens on Saturdays for Baltimore high school students. And so I think that it's really important to do things in the pharmacy realm as well, but also do things outside that you truly enjoy. And then if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to reach out and talk to you about anything.
Thank you, Sachi. I mean, congratulations for your matching. And
Thank you.
I think it was very interesting to hear that not limit ourselves for just pharmacy and do something you're passionate of. I think you touched a lot of things regarding like research, like do we have to do this because we want to check off from our resume? But I think it's really important that do you actually have a passion for doing this? Do you want to do this, or is it actually you're just doing it because you need to? So I guess all experience that you had was paving the way to the residency. So congratulations.
Thank you.
The last but not the least, Clinton.
Hi guys, my name is Clinton and I'm a 4th-year student pharmacist. So quick background about me, I only did 2 years of prerequisites before I came into University of Maryland School of Pharmacy. I did work at CVS for about 4 years. And then from there, for the first 2 years, I didn't really work until my 3rd year where I started to intern at MedStar outpatient pharmacies. And I was able to work as a PRN pharmacy intern, so I didn't have to work every other weekend, thank goodness. Throughout my years, I was mostly involved with APhA-ASP. I was the patient care vice president, as well as the conference coordinator. And then I also did the MRM promotional chair, and I also participated in the Student Leadership Institute delegate. Fortunately, I was also part of UMB Health Alliance, which I also co-founded in 2018, which then I furthered the progression into being administration chair, vice president, and then becoming president. So initially my goal going into pharmacy school, I really was only interested in being a retail pharmacist because I was all about the money. But as soon as I went through the classes and, partook in all these different meetings through all the different organizations, I was like, you know what, let me go outside my box and like try becoming a clinical pharmacist. And I absolutely loved the track that I went through. So I tried to, be involved in all the different organizations I was partaking in. And when I ran for positions, unfortunately, my first year, I did not get the pres-elect for APhA-ASP, which I did run for. But that should not stop anyone if you don't get a position this year. I know right now it's election time, so don't let that discourage you. It should be more of a push and more of something to let you, keep going and try your best and see what you can improve on. Just because you don't get one this year doesn't mean you won't get one next year. So as long as you keep trying, you can, achieve anything. And then that's what happens with UMB Health Alliance. It came out of nowhere. So it was like a little disguise. So I was happy that I was able to become the president of that organization. So my goal, I want to be a clinical pharmacist, specifically probably in internal medicine or cardiology. So I will be completing my PGY1 next year at MedStar Union Memorial Hospital, which I also did my clinical track in last year. So if you are interested in clinical pharmacy, I really suggest doing clinical track for your P4 year, just because it introduces you to all these pharmacists at that site. And you really build these close connections, and then it increases your chances of getting a residency there. So that's why I was able to luckily get my residency there, just because I build relationships with the RPD and just all the other clinical pharmacists. But that doesn't mean that if you do it, you will get a residency. So just keep that in mind. I just got lucky. And then also I'm interested in academia. So I'm still trying to explore that. I do like teaching, you guys. I've seen some of you as my student as a TA this year and last year as well. And I really do enjoy doing that. So hopefully I'll continue that next year when I'm at MedStar, so you might see me again. And then I'm also looking into preceptorship. So some tips: definitely take initiative and be proactive. You definitely want to start working ahead as early as you can. Like I said, as a P1, I tried to participate in many events, and then into P2 and P3, I started to really narrow down what I'm really interested in. So just really do your research, see what you're interested in, and then hopefully by the end of everything, you'll hopefully match into your projected residency. And partake in any type of patient care project. So with this, I was patient care vice president, so I'm all about taking part of patient care projects because it helps with your soft skills. So it helps you talk to patients out there, because as a clinical pharmacist, you're not just going to be behind a computer, you're going to actually interact with these patients. So it's very important that you do that, get your feet wet in doing that. So, and then it'll just also help you make connections with the pharmacists that you do these projects with. And then network. So I always attended APhA-ASP annual NMRM. I was able to meet many students as well as pharmacists who are practicing, and I've kept those connections. And whenever I needed help, whenever I needed guidance, I always reached out to them. So please, I know it can be a bit expensive to travel. And so hopefully next year you do take that chance, you step out of your comfort zone and really partake in those meetings. I think they're very beneficial for you. And then also they have like a lot of things you can learn. And lastly, I think everyone should be fearlessly authentic. Be yourself. It's very important to really show what kind of star you are. You want to shine bright. When it comes to these interviews, just show what you're about. You don't have to be a computer in order to succeed. If you show your personality, you show your growth, and you show what you have done, you'll be successful in what you do.
Thank you, Clinton. That was great. And congratulations again for your matching as well. And it was really good to see the kind of comments that we started as like expanding our interest in pharmacy, going to different organizations, opportunities, and then narrow it down. What I really like about Clinton is he is really passionate about like for mentorship, and then very invested to other people as well. So hopefully that continues in our culture of in our organizations where you guys are belong to. So now we are going to do a Q&A sessions that we received from the RSVP, and I'll stop sharing the monitor so we can see everyone's faces when we answer. All right. So the first question is a decision-making question. How did you decide on doing residency instead of other pharmacy field? I guess we'll start with Julie. Would you mind sharing your experience?
Yeah, of course. So as you may or may not know, pharmacists hold an integral role when it comes to these interdisciplinary healthcare teams by making the therapeutic decisions for patients, whether that is for chronic or acute conditions. And I loved my AST courses, and I know that I can take what I learned from residency and apply it to my future career as a clinical specialist. And I know that pursuing a residency, not only is it a requirement for most programs, but it really will help you become the standout candidate for when you're applying to future jobs.
How about you, Sona? What makes you to decide about being a clinical pharmacy rather than, I mean, you said you're also interested in, industry.
I don't know yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested in residency because I have the medical knowledge and background from before. So I think by doing a pharmacy residency, it will give me a chance just to add on more on my clinical knowledge from before and be able to help out the patients better. And also, yeah, the interdisciplinary role that Julie mentioned, I think that's very important. And I feel like more, now we have more clinical pharmacy specialties and everyone is starting to recognize the importance role of clinical pharmacy more.
Thank you. This one is for Stella. So what recommendation in terms of leadership, organizations, positions, skills do you recommend that will help out from the stand out from the candidates applying for residency? I guess it's more for like pharmacotherapeutic pathways as well. Like, what do you think that makes you stand out from other candidates?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So, I guess like Clinton and Sachi could put more input because they have more experience than us. But definitely like leadership. Just I think once you get to the fourth year rotation, there are numerous like opportunities where you have either you have like they force you to presentation or you voluntarily do presentation, and that's like how your leadership kind of plays a role. And something that you have to like lead the projects or talking to like the strangers, like I've never seen this doctor that all of a sudden I have to talk to them, those kind of things. So I think these leadership positions that I've been holding will really helped me to prepare for those types of situations. Plus, I think, like Sachi mentioned, like this is what I truly enjoy, like talking to people, and by combining your interest in the leadership things, you would be more successful in not only the rotation but also becoming the clinical pharmacist in the future. Because I've seen a lot of pharmacists in my hospital like taking an initiative for some projects and really have to talk to this patients as well as the other interdisciplinary team. So I think being a leader at certain organizations or even committees that will really be successful in terms of becoming the clinical pharmacist as well as the clinical track program, because clinical track program provides a lot of like robust experience to put yourself in the like non-comfortable zone. So that kind of like the situation where you could grow yourself.
Thank you, Stella. Hannah, so regarding your experience of like working at FDA or like working at a hospital, how did you or how should we find the pharmacy related internships and experiences?
I would say, like everybody has been saying, like talking to your upperclassmen, talking to faculty has been one of the best resources. For FDA internship I got, I actually talked to some people in my class and learned on how to apply. If anybody's interested, you go to usca.org and you just look at positions that might benefit you in some way. So be open to those. And for Hopkins, I actually did the mentorship program through SSHP, and my mentor worked as a psych pharmacist at the adult patient pharmacy, and I talked to her about like how I go about getting that like an intern position and what I can get out of the position and what she recommended. So I would say for most positions, even if not in hospital or any other internships that you want, talking to people that have some information about it was the most beneficial, I'd say.
Thank you, Hannah. And is it okay if people want to reach out to you? And is it okay them to like link you from Facebook or LinkedIn and stuff?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Can I add one more point for the internship?
Sure, Sona. Yeah, go ahead.
So I have created an internship, residency, and fellowship like database for career navigation. I think everyone should have access to it. It's for all the students, and it's on a career navigation blackboard under student resources. So just please use it if you want to just have more like knowledge of what are the resources for internship, residency, or fellowship. Thank you.
Thank you, Sona. I think that's a really good plug. She is working as a career navigation ambassador, and you guys can find the page from the Blackboard community, and there's a career navigation page that you can find. Thank you so much for putting that in. And also, this question is for Sachi. What made you to choose a managed care residency, and how is it different than a clinical residency? If you don't mind like explaining briefly what's the difference, and so people can get a better idea of what the residency is for.
Yeah, of course. So one of the main differences doing a managed care residency is usually a managed care residency is associated with either a health plan or a PBM. There are some managed care residencies that are a little bit more clinical. I mean, that are managed care, but a little more clinical, such as Kaiser, because you have like they are their own health plan, but you're also able to see like the hospital in the clinical throughout by treating patients as well and going on like internal medicine rotations. I think another big difference is I kind of wanted to do a little bit something that's more business, but also still use my clinical skills. And I thought that managed care residency was something that I would be able to do that in terms of formulary management, where I'm still able to use skills in critiquing articles, but also being able to, look at costs and adherence measures. So I think one of the big differences is you do still use a lot of clinical knowledge, but you're not in the traditional hospital setting of rounding on patients and things like that. You're more making calls and working in an office building. So I think that's kind of one of the biggest differences.
Thank you, Sachi. Do you think the CMS experience and working for the Kaiser that sets you aside from different candidates? Do you believe that helps you a lot?
Yeah, so I think doing a rotation at CMS really helped me. So for those who don't know, CMS is Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. And so any health plan out there that you work with will probably have plans for Medicare patients. And when they see that you worked at like Medicare and Medicaid, it's a really unique opportunity that not very many students get. And so anytime I had an interview for residency, that was one of the biggest questions I got is, what was your experience at CMS? So I think that was one of the biggest things that stood apart.
Thank you so much. And I believe we can just apply that epi rotation as P3 when the time comes, like separately, right? Outside of the school.
Yeah, so you actually don't have to apply for the CMS rotation. I know it's in the lottery system, but I ranked it 1. You don't have to apply for it.
I see. Thank you so much. Clinton, if you don't mind, would you mind explain briefly about pharmacotherapy pathway, when to apply, and what the process of matching?
So I actually did not do the pharmacotherapy pathway, so I don't have any info on that. But in terms of clinical track, that's your the beginning of P3 year, the fall, that's when you're starting to try to figure out what rotations you want for your P4 year. So let me see. So they want everything by, I believe it was November, December. So that'll be your CV and not a letter of recommendation, but a letter of intent, I believe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So those are the two major ones. So start building your CV now. Just remember quality over quantity. I know some people are like, oh my gosh, let me get 10 pages of my CV and like try to impress, the RPDs and whatnot. But honestly, that's not really important. As long as you do something that's very qualitative, that shows that, you have skills to, communicate well and, just do many things that are important in being a pharmacist. So build your CV, use all your resources, use the upperclassmen, use pharmacists out there. ASHP also has a CV review, so use that. And then in terms of letter of intent, that one you'll just have to practice. I know some classes try to help you work towards that ideal letter of intent, but again, use your resources if you can.
Thank you so much. Would you mind just briefly go over what matching is? Because we also have a lot of prospective students today, and I think it'll be good to go over like what matching is.
Yeah, of course. So matching, that's when you really, really try to decide where you want to go. So this starts around November. That's when the application starts to open up. And that's when you like throw in your CV, your letter of intent, and all your like letter of recommendation. So as soon as you hit your P4 year, you definitely want to start planning on who should I get my letter of recommendations from. The sooner you ask, the better the outcome is. Never ask last minute. So don't ask in November, don't ask December, ask way before that. So that way the writers can go ahead and plan ahead of time. In addition, these letter of recommendations are also not really a letter. It's more of like, oh, do they check off this part of the checklist, and just any comments they have regarding your work ethic and your personality and stuff like that. And then let's see, matching. Okay, so definitely build your CV, letter of intents. You want to be very specific in terms of your letter of intent, because each program, they don't want a generic letter of intent. They want to know the reason why you're choosing that program. If you say something very generic, they're gonna really just push your application away. Something as a letter of intent, even though you may look very well in your CV, a letter of intent can ruin your chances of getting interview, as many people are nodding. So, so keep that in mind. CV as well. Key points for that one, just make sure if it's something that every pharmacy intern can do, don't add that as a description. That's a waste of space. And those are things that pharmacists are going to look over and don't really care about. They want to know specific information. So like, let's say if you're a treasurer, I raised this much % this year, or like if you're a patient care VP, I increased the amount of patient interviews by this %. So they really want you to be specific. So just keep that in mind. And then it's a point-based system. So if you do check, there's a couple checks. So let's say president will be the highest number of points for a candidate compared to like a treasurer or a secretary. So for example, president may be 3 points, secretary may be 1 point. But each institution is a little different. So just keep that in mind. And then let's see, they look at, presentations as well as research projects. So one thing that I was worried about was that I never did a research project throughout my school year until like my 4th year, where I asked the RPT, oh, can I like do like some kind of presentation or research, just to get that on my CV. Not to say that you should do that, but definitely go what you're passionate for. So that's why I didn't really do any research project, because I was not passionate for it. But that doesn't say that it will not give you a good chance of getting into a residency program. I've asked many RPDs out there. It's okay. Like if you don't do one, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't stress out. But yeah, it's pretty point based. So just keep in mind, if you can do all of that, you can. I will provide a link to VCU. They have kind of like a example of what they look at. So I'll look for that and then send that out to you guys so you can see like what kind of things the directors are looking for. And then interviewing, so that happens around January. Once your application is submitted by January 1st, which is most likely the deadline for next year, your interviews are sent out around mid-January. So definitely send out your transcripts beforehand, before the deadline. Some programs will accept it maybe 10 days after that, but since COVID, I know a lot of us kind of got, screwed over. So send it as soon as possible. So try to send it as soon as you can, send your transcript. And if you have to, you can always resend by the end of the semester. So that way, all your APPEs that you did that semester is included, since a lot of the programs are looking into that. So interviews. So interviews are between February and January. Definitely practice your interview skills, be as personable as possible. They do look at personality because once you do get to the interview, that's really a personality test and how you're able to really interact with the RPD and the different pharmacists. And then not to throw anyone off, there's also a case presentation. So some of it is on the spot. Some of it, they want you to prepare. Oh, here's a case, you have 5 minutes. What can you tell me about it? Others, there's a 24-hour preparation, 48-hour preparation. They just want to make sure you guys are able to do your research, look up through all the different guidelines. Hint, hint, guidelines, very important. Don't look at micromedics and don't look at lexicon. You have to really look at the guidelines, and that's what's going to be very impressive in your interviews. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope I hit everything.
That covers a lot.
Yeah.
Add something really quickly.
Yes,
so
Sachi.
I know a lot of people are always like, okay, so what programs am I going to apply to and stuff? And so for managed care and for clinical. So for managed care, there's AMCP Nexus where they hold a showcase for all the programs. And then at mid-year is both clinical and managed care residency. So, they have booths and you're able to go talk to the RPD and the residents and, ask them any questions you want regarding the program. And so that's kind of how you cultivate your list of what programs you want to apply to. And then also for CV and letter of intent, something that really helped me was taking the residency class. I believe it's an elective. You can take your third year.
It doesn't exist anymore.
We might have it in the future. Yeah.
They actually open it up in this semester.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay, now it's back.
Yeah, they're back because we kept saying we need it.
Right. So the rest
if you're like me and you if you're like me and you kind of want some structure, I think that's a really good class to at least start with a foundation for a letter of intent and a CV, because I know when I was doing mine for applications, I really took a lot of information from both of those. So
yeah, great that in the chat, there are a lot of people are putting a lot of information. So I think it'll be good to take a look at it. And Res Prep, I think it's one of the best course that you can take it in order to prepare for residency, because it goes over everything, such as interview or CVs and everything. So please look into that. Regarding respecting the time, because we're gonna have a class soon, I think this is all for today. I just want to take a quick screenshot of us for APhA annual report. If you guys don't mind, please turn on your camera for us. And thank you again for joining us today.